was gonna stay in the fight with you, just thinking we would do this until we couldn't do it. Each and every high, every night with you and me so clueless. We were just broken shattered.
Couples Advance Day 3.
Yes, day 3. What happened on day 3?
Well, today was about charting our course according to God's plan for us. And that works by us starting with the goals that came out of the past 2 days,
Okay.
especially yesterday,
Okay.
and then setting action plans to at least get them started.
Okay.
Now, we didn't expect to have the full plan to get them all the way to completion, because sometimes once you start down the path, the next steps of your path become more clear. But the key is to get started on them in the right direction.
Yes, I do agree. I really do agree. So, some of the challenges, what were they, honey?
We did have some challenges today, and one of them was the desire to conquer the world by next week.
Yeah.
Now, we've got these big plans, right?
Yeah.
Let's use, for example, honey, you feel that you've been called to start a business. What business is that?
It's a business so that I am able to bake, which is something I love. And we're just going to say the name of that bakery. It's Blessed Bakery.
The Blessed Bakery.
Yes, and it's healthy cookies.
That almost sounds like an oxymoron, but now that I've actually had a few and I can't stop, you've like turned me into a healthy cookie junkie at this point. I can see where this would go well, extremely well. Now, as we look at that dream, that end goal of having a healthy cookie bakery,
Yes,
we have to work backwards and say, well, what are our steps to start getting there?
exactly.
I mean, you already have the recipe, you have a few cookies already that you've had people come back and say, wow, these are amazing cookies. And they're healthy?
Yes.
Wow. So it's not like you're starting from scratch,
No.
but it's more like you've been kind of stalled on how to get to that next step. How do you take it from being a hobby to being a business?
Exactly.
And so we realize that there's more than just baking cookies and giving them away. There's the marketing aspect. There's the whole business setup aspect of it. There's all these things that we have to do. And so now we were able to sit down and chart an action plan to help you get further down the road to actually providing cookies for sale.
Yeah.
And more than just a bake sale out of a folding table in the front yard.
Well,
So, but we had to realize we're not going to get all the way there in 1 week.
no, I wish we could, but I know we can't.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the other thing is that not just conquering the world in one area, we also had to realize that we can't cover all of our visions all at the same time.
No.
Because
That would be nice too, don't you think?
Well, there's things that you want to do with Blessed Bakery, right?
Yes.
And there's things that we want to do with Promise of Love.
Yes.
And with Promise of Love, we want to help people who are working through the aftermath of a divorce.
Yeah.
We want to help singles find true love.
Yes.
We want to help pre-marrieds establish a great foundation for their marriage.
So it sounds like we want to do a lot with everything that has to do with
Relationships, but there's so many different aspects of relationships that we really had to break it down to see what steps are we going to take to help each area and in what time frame.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that's true about anything is that if you try to do all things at once, you end up doing nothing very well.
Yeah. That's probably because we try to do too much at the same time. And
So
that's hard.
it is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard.
Yeah.
So while our passion is to help marriages stay together,
Yeah.
there's marriages in crisis that we can help out.
Yeah.
There's people who are starting out anew, premarital. Wow. I'm really enjoying that part of our ministry. But there's also those other forgotten parts. How about couples who are not in crisis yet,
Yeah.
and they're not just wanting the fun and fluff of hanging out with friends. They just want some real, honest help with common everyday challenges before they turn into things that spiral down a slippery slope towards divorce.
And oh my gosh, there is so many divorces. I cannot say that enough.
Yeah.
It is getting to the point of I just don't know.
It pains me.
It pains me.
It really is a heart hurt for me to realize that we have gotten to the point, we've gotten so complacent in our marriages as a culture that it's almost commonplace to say, well, maybe separation is the best thing for you. Maybe divorce is the best thing for you. You both should be happy and you're not making each other happy. I mean, when you get to the point where you're not making each other happy, you start to realize, I didn't marry her for her to make me happy. If I'm not a happy person, she can't do anything to help me.
Ooh, say it again for the people in the back. What you say? Wait a minute.
And likewise, if you're not a happy person, I can't make you happy.
No.
You can't look at your spouse and say, well, he just doesn't make me happy.
No.
It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't at all.
But we can find fulfillment in our marriage, especially if we're following what God told us to do.
Say it again.
How God told us to love each other. How God
Yes.
told us to respect each other. And if we can get there, if we can help spread that word, spread that message at every single step of the relationship life cycle, then I believe we can make a significant impact on how we regard marriage in our culture.
That is so true. People need to give back to putting God where He's supposed to be.
So
In the middle. He is the relationship. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent. Continue, honey.
well, the whole point is that seriously, we cannot do all of that
No.
next week. We can't do it all next month. We can't do it all this summer. And quite honestly, if we tried to do it all effectively this year, we would probably fall short on just about everything. So part of our guidance yesterday was to ask God, what do you want us to focus on now?
Yes.
That focus, that vision part of the retreat, that feeds into the action plan. And what pours into this and what comes out of this is our steps to follow in the specific areas that we're supposed to focus.
Okay.
Now, an easy way, another challenge that we have going into our action planning is since we've been on retreat for the past week, it is so easy to forget our normal everyday lives.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got obligations with our kids. We've got obligations with our work. We've got obligations with the ministries that we serve at church. We have things that we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
We cannot get back to our home and work on this full time. So we have to take that into account when we set in place our action plan.
Mm-hmm.
This action plan does have dates by when we're supposed to accomplish things.
Yes, they do.
And so,
And try to stick to the dates as much as you can.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so acknowledging your limitations on how to reach those dates. Like, I can't say I need to write the first 200 pages of my autobiography by next Saturday, when I realize the day I get back, my email box at work is going to be full.
Mm-hmm.
My kids are going to be needing things that I wasn't able to deliver when we were gone. Different people are going to want to catch up with me. Ministries are going to need to backfill me on things that they're doing, and I need to step up and serve where I haven't been serving for the past week. As I take all that into consideration, no, I can't write 200 pages of a book in that amount of time.
You sure about that? Oh, just kidding.
So don't make your action plan as if you have as much time as you did this past week.
Understood.
So what are some of the lessons learned that came out of our time together this week?
So you need to give yourself reasonable time to complete actions in your action plan. So you have an action plan, I have an action plan. So
Yeah, we just talked about this a little bit. Consider your workload. Consider, the schedules of other people.
Yeah.
I mean, we wrote down things that included getting together with other couples or getting together with other individuals and kind of giving them an update on what we're doing and how we're doing it. In some cases, it might be because we need their help. In other cases, it might be because, I don't know, pick any possible things. But we have actions to sit down and talk with individuals. We cannot say, well, we're going to meet with someone by the Wednesday after we get back. if we don't even know what their schedule is.
This is true.
So we have to take that into account.
So you need to be, be realistic about how long it takes to do things. Don't you think?
Exactly. Like when we were talking about the bakery, one of the things might be not so much the bakery. Maybe there's another part of our ministry that we want to do as a nonprofit.
Okay.
And if so, we cannot say, well, we're going to start outreaching as a nonprofit in a month, because it's probably going to take a good 2 to 3 months to actually get that nonprofit status. So we have to take that duration into account as we set the schedule for things that we're going to do.
This is true.
Now, the other thing I will say is don't be afraid of question marks. And whenever I say that, we might be able to chart out steps 1, 2. Step number 3 might be a little fuzzy, but once that's done, you also know 4 and 5. It's okay to put a question mark in as number 3, saying, hey, this will come into clarity as I'm working on 1 and 2. But if you can see far enough ahead to get to 5, don't stop at 3 because you don't understand that step just yet. Go ahead, get it down on paper, at least a placeholder. So when that comes into clarity, you can fill that in and move forward. It's not a stumbling block.
Sounds like a plan. So, save times for a special evening of bonding.
Yeah, so this is the end of the advance, your retreat. I know this was not a vacation.
No.
And you might have gone into this with the anticipation of it being like a vacation.
Yeah.
And so it might come across, although you made so much progress in defining what the future is, to me that was more exciting than lounging around in a vacation and relaxing. However, there is that point in time where you say, you know what? I'm about to go back home, I'm about to go back to work, and I have not taken a moment to relax and enjoy being away. This was fun, but it was work. So take an evening, whether it be going to a nice restaurant, whether it be just lounging out by the pool and not doing anything. Whatever you and your spouse consider to be good relaxation time together. Find some time this evening, the last evening that you're on retreat, to do that together. And then you go home, relax on a great note, and you'll be recharged to dive back into your life and into your action plan.
So I have a bonus for you.
All right.
So that was day 3 of it, and that was the end of the retreat. Yes. So I need to ask you a question.
Yes.
My dear, wonderful husband.
My dear.
What did you get out of it?
What did I get out of it?
Yes.
Wow. I'll have to say that my biggest thrill coming out of this is that I feel more empowered to pursue the purpose that I felt that I had. Okay. You know, it's one thing to say, hey, I've got this purpose. But whenever you ask God, and the response is not just silence, and the response is not just, yeah, sure, go ahead and try. The response is confirmation by praying for it and then receiving guidance on how to proceed. Certain things came into clarity, things came into focus on what we're supposed to do and how we can move things forward that I hadn't had for months. And so I kind of received that as a confirmation that we're getting back on track for what we're supposed to do. And there's nothing more fulfilling than walking in purpose.
And that is so true, because when you are out of line in your whole, it messes up everything.
It does. I mean, just like you said, there's so many divorces going on around us today, and it pains me to see it. It got to the point where every time I heard of another divorce, I actually got, very melancholy, very sad, very almost agitated. That it didn't even make sense. I'd be upset that I didn't help that couple, but I never even had the chance to.
Same here.
You know, whether they were friends of mine or not, I didn't know that they were having relationship problems.
At that
I might
part,
have even
yes.
spoken with them, and they didn't say anything about having relationship problems. And then I found out through Facebook, oh yeah, we're separated and about to divorce. What?
At they only would have spoke up and said what was going on. Wow.
And that's part of the realization.
It is.
That we need to do more.
So what we need to do is be more transparent people. Quit being silent. If you are having issues, by all means, say that you are having issues.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Definitely. And be willing to escalate. When you have an issue, it's not a matter of blasting about your spouse on Facebook. It's more a matter of finding people in your life who can help, some godly couples.
Yeah.
Who have the right heart, not to take one person's side or the other, but to take God's side, just like the angel outside the walls of Jericho.
Yeah.
When Joshua walked up to him and said, "Hey, whose side are you on? Are you for them or are you for us?" And the angel said, "I'm not for either one of you. I'm here for the Lord."
Exactly.
Those are the types of couples that you need advising you. Something comes up, you're ticked off about something, you disagree about something, you can't come to agreement in your marriage. Don't be afraid to, like you said, be transparent. Go to a godly couple and say, "Hey, we're struggling with this. What do you think?"
What do you think?
And pray to God that they give you what God's answer is, not taking one side or the other. And man, you're right. If we could do more of that, if you and I could facilitate more of that.
Exactly. But, however, and I'm going to be transparent with this statement. We are mature.
Right. You talk about the salt and pepper in my beard?
Well, yes. I definitely would say that we are mature in age, and this is, as we have said in our podcast, this is not our first go around. A lot of people may think it's our first go around. We have been married before.
Was it
now
43 years of experience in marriage?
Exactly.
Before we met?
Before. And that's, that part right there. So, we're new in our marriage. However, we have went down this road before.
Indeed we have. Now, if I may go back to the Avengers, where
really,
Loki is saying to Thanos, "Hey, I've got experience fighting these Avengers." And Thanos says, "You call losing?" Because he's lost every time he went up against the Avengers, right? Mm-hmm. Thanos says, "You call losing experience?" He says, "I call experience. I may have made some mistakes.
I love it, yes.
I may have made some mistakes. But now that I've made those mistakes, I have learned from those mistakes."
That part right there. Exactly.
So, yeah, we're fixing to get back into our daily lives, back into our daily routine. But now we have an action plan behind the purpose that we have and the callings that we have on our lives. And to me, that's extremely, extremely exciting. You asked me, what did I get out of this retreat?
Yeah.
And
with those action plans, our decision is to revisit back in 6 months, and in a year is the target to have completion on stuff. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say what I got out of this was a renewed sense of purpose.
Ooh, same here. Just renewed, refreshed, just ready to get this party started.
Yeah. And I actually feel a lot more connected to you, my dear, because I no longer feel like my calling is my own calling. What was revealed to us this week was that, yes, we might have individual callings, but the areas where I really felt I needed to work with you,
yes,
you actually came out and started participating in ways that you haven't been doing in a while.
This is true.
In the areas that you're called, I have felt empowered this week to assist you however I can to reach those goals.
And I appreciate it.
And so with that, we're going to close off here this evening and get back to life.
Get back to life.
All right, well, be blessed.
Be blessed.